In the name of self-defense, taking down an attacker with a single punch is a unique life-saving skill. Taking down attackers with just the power of your mind? Well, that seems a little far-fetched. Martial artists have claimed, boasted about, and built businesses upon all kinds of fake techniques. So-called karate dojos have promoted pressure point knockouts. Kung Fu masters have misled followers with unbeatable moves that don't really work. And some martial arts gurus have even claimed to wield extraordinary powers, like being able to knock out opponents without so much as laying a finger on them. While the martial arts industry has thousands of reliable, reputable people and techniques, the number of fakes out there is far greater than we would ever have guessed. Back in 2015, a New York man named Jay Queiroz was throwing out audacious claims that he was a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and fought under the world-famous GF team. However, the amateur moves that Jay was teaching far from matched his elite credentials. So, the BJJ Police YouTube channel decided to put him to the test and see if there was any truth to Jay Queiroz's outlandish words. Mike Palladino, who is the founder of Evolution Grappling Academy and a legitimate Jiu-Jitsu black belt, paid a visit to Queiroz's gym to confront the man himself. When Mike asked Jay to spar with him for a couple of minutes, Jay refused. From that point, it was clear. Once the truth came to light that he was a fraud, Jay's gym was shut down, and for good reason. Without knowledgeable training, his students were exposed to risk and serious injury. Jay is just one of the many so-called martial arts experts recently coming to light as no-good fakes. But why are martial arts frauds on the rise? It goes back to the outbreak of Kung Fu cinema. The Bruce Lee-style films created an aura of fantasy around martial arts. They brought mass attention to the industry, and whenever something is popular, there will always be people trying to scam money out of it. Thus began the rise of fake, money-hungry martial arts trainers. Pretending to be a black belt when you're evidently not, that's one level of fraud that would anger legitimate professionals all over the world. But pretending to have a superhuman telekinetic martial arts ability, that doesn't invite anger, that invites laughter and ridicule. This is George Dillman, one of the most famous martial arts teachers in the world for all the wrong reasons. Dillman is a member of Black Belt Magazine's Hall of Fame and was named Black Belt Magazine's Martial Arts Instructor of the Year in 1997. But when you hear the techniques he's promoting, you'll ask yourself, why? Dillman managed to convince dozens of his students that he could knock down and even knock out opponents without even touching them, a technique which he referred to as the Chi. So in September of 2005, National Geographic put his claims to the test. On their show Is It Real?, the host asked for a demonstration of Dillman's famous no-touch knockout. The technique evidently had no effect. However, Dillman dismissed the failure, citing the non-believer as the reason behind its failure. Apparently, also, if the victim had his tongue in the wrong position in his mouth, then the Chi would be nullified? Right. As far as science is concerned, Chi does not exist. Besides being described as an incredibly difficult co-worker, Hollywood action star Steven Seagal is regularly touted as a fake. In his heyday, Steven was one of the biggest martial arts stars in the industry. In real life, it was another story. Sure, Seagal earned a legitimate 7th Dan ranking in Aikido, but as many critics, including UFC commentator Joe Rogan, have pointed out, that doesn't mean much. At the core of Aikido is the intention for one to defend themselves while also protecting their attackers from injury. That's a good indication as any to its effectiveness. Aikido relies on joint locks and the redirection of momentum and is considered mostly useless unless the opponent is running directly at you. If there is no momentum, then how can you use it to your advantage? Joe Rogan has come out and said, it would never work against a trained fighter. Never. Not in a million years. Even though there's a significant disconnect between Aikido and UFC, Seagal has claimed in the past that he actually taught a lot of well-known fighters everything they knew, including Anderson Silva. Bogus claims, no doubt.
This does not work.
While we're on the topic of Aikido, let's swivel our attention to another man who's been swept up in plenty of controversy. This is Yanagi Ryuken, a man who has been described as a master of Daito Ryo Aikido. And get this, a man who claims to have psychic abilities. Check it out, he has either mastered the art of mind control or there must be something in the water in his studio because all signs of science point to one conclusion: fraud. Fed up with nonsense like this and being promoted as truth, 35-year-old Japanese journalist and mixed martial artist Iwakura Tsuyoshi challenged Ryuken to a fight back in 2006, and here's what happened. As you can see, it was never a fair fight. Ryuken claimed that his loss was due to his illness. Lacking full strength, his psychic abilities were temporarily weakened. He may have very well believed this fact, but the wider community did not. Do we have any Jean-Claude Van Damme fans in the house? One of his most famous films, Bloodsport, was based on the amazing story of one of the best fighters of all time, Frank Dux. Frank's story goes as follows. As a teenager, he was taken under the wing of a legendary fighter named Senzo Tiger Tanaka, a world-famous teacher and 40th-generation warrior. Tiger trained Frank in the art of ninjutsu before instructing his star pupil to compete in the no-holds-barred 60-round elimination secretive martial arts tournament known as the Kumite, which was held every 5 years. While waiting for the next tournament to roll around, Dux joined the Marines, earned his Taekwondo black belt, and mastered knife fighting. After winning the Kumite, he joined the CIA and formed his own martial arts school. Thanks to Bloodsport, his story became well-known all over the world, although there was just one problem. He made it all up. It was nothing but lies. The LA Times uncovered the fraud, calling it exactly what it was: macho fantasy. Frank isn't the only supposed martial artist master whose story's been twisted and exaggerated through clever use of the media. John Keane, an Irish kid from Chicago, soon became known as Count Dante, aka the deadliest man alive. Older Marvel comics were regularly fitted with rather strange advertisements promoting Count Dante. Within these ads, which of course John Keane himself wrote, Count Dante was declared as the master of the poison hand, or Dim-mak, fighting style. The so-called poison hand arsenal consisted of vicious gouging, scratching, and clawing techniques targeted at pressure points, nerve centers, and vital organs of the opponent. By following Dim-mak, Dante was promising to turn the readers into, as was written word for word in these ads, shocking human horror weapons. Simply put, anybody who mastered Count Dante's techniques could subdue opponents with a single touch. At first, it seems that John Keane was simply using the martial arts craze of the 70s to sell his pamphlets and make a few bucks. The general consensus is that there was little truth behind any of it. But the more you look into him, the more it seems as though he actually believed what he was writing. He even rocked up on Muhammad Ali's house demanding a fight. Considering that John Keane was known to walk around with a pet lion, nothing would be too ridiculous. Monks are typically calm and peaceful, promoting serenity and prayer. Shaolin monks, on the other hand, have a reputation for something far different. Remarkable physical feats and fighting abilities. They have shown unwavering balance and impeccable core strength. The truth is that many of these monks spend many hours a day honing their skills, and rarely would they ever utilize their expertise for violence. So when talk arose that Chinese professional kickboxer Yi Long was both an MMA fighter and a Shaolin monk, red flags were raised almost instantly. After doing some digging, Shanghai-based MMA coach Ramsey Dewey called Yi Long out, stating that while he may have some kickboxing prowess, that doesn't mean that his MMA or Shaolin monk claims have any substance whatsoever. At the crux of it all, Yi Long's fake Shaolin monk background is a gimmick used to attract fans. Yi Long never trained in the Shaolin Temple. He merely learned his skills at the Shanghai Sports University. It goes without saying that for every effective martial art, there's an equally ineffective one. Styles like sumo, Wing Chun, capoeira, tai chi, and kung fu have all been on the receiving end of controversy. One Chinese MMA fighter, Xiaodong, was getting fed up with all the martial arts masters who were claiming that their brand of training was elite. So, Zhu called out one self-described kung fu master, Wei Lei, who was claiming supernatural powers. It took all of 20 seconds for Zhu to seal victory. He then took down a Wing Chun master in less than 2 minutes within the opening round. For all his efforts defrauding masters, Zhu was sued in 2019 for calling Tai Chi Grandmaster Chen Zhaowang a fraud. The Chinese court ordered him to pay tens of thousands of dollars and to issue a public apology. As if that weren't punishment enough, the government tanked his social credit rating to a point where he couldn't rent or own property or even buy plane tickets. As we move back to the world of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, we encounter Raphael Torres, another man whose story is full of lies. Torres infiltrated MMA online circles and started bragging about his 14-0 record, one he claimed to have created within underground pit fighting tournaments. Of course, he didn't have any proof, but people believed him. Oh, and he was also claiming to be an ex-Navy SEAL. After his notoriety grew, Torres caught the attention of Arab Sheikh Tahnoun bin Zayed Al Nahyan. He invited Raphael to the Abu Dhabi Combat Club to take on Bo Hirschberger, and within a minute, Raphael conceded defeat. Then, in 2001, Raphael took on heavyweight Ayoka Tianu in a professional MMA fight. Torres ended up winning with a knee bar, but it was obvious that he had paid his opponent to lose. The compounding lies quickly unraveled from that point. As another example of the no-touch knockout failing spectacularly, one Kaya master offered up $5,000 to any MMA fighter that could defeat him, with most fighters realizing that the no-touch theory was a crock of, well, you know. Take a peek at this video. As you can see, the MMA fighter has no trouble in taking down the supposed martial arts master, putting him away within less than 2 minutes with absolute ease. As soon as the first punch landed, it was money in the bank. Have you ever personally witnessed a total fraud? Let us know. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and as always, thanks for checking out The Richest. See you next time and have a great day.